Welcome to Connecting Chats. Today we're going to be talking with Sigrun Sævarsdóttir-Griffiths, an amazing Icelandic workshop leader who was for many years responsible for the leadership program at Guildhall School of Music in London. Enjoy! Good, and we're live!
Yay!
Yes, Sig, nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Nice to see you here. Thank you so much for coming to our Connecting Chats.
Pleasure.
I'm going to ask you, my first challenge of today is going to be to say your full name.
Oh yeah, we could do a workshop on that one.
Yeah. How do you say it? I know Sigrun.
Sævarsdóttir, the daughter of Sævar, Sævarsdóttir-Griffiths.
The daughter of what, sorry?
Of Sævar. My dad's name was Sævar.
Okay.
And his daughter, so I'm Sævarsdóttir. And then I felt so guilty when I got married to Paul that I didn't want to leave out my dad's name. So then I added another name at the end of it. So now it's just like, it doesn't even fit on my credit card anymore.
It is a quite long, the second one is quite long, isn't it? But
yeah,
I was thinking about it like before, and I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. I can't remember how to say her name after knowing her for so many years.
Not many people do.
No. Well, thank you so much, Sig. And let's start from the beginning. I would like to know a little bit more about, I know a lot already, but it would be nice for you to tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and maybe a little bit of a music education. Give us a little picture of Sigrun's amazing journey into music making.
Yeah, I'm born in Iceland and raised in Iceland. I'm from a very musical family. So my mum is a professional musician. She's a pianist. And both my big brothers are musicians. One is a composer and the other one is a singer. And it was always a part of my life. And I started studying music myself when I was about 6 and went through the normal routes of studying instruments. I studied the piano and trombone, and then went to music college to get a teacher's degree. And then I met Paul Griffiths, my now husband of 20 plus years, and moved to London and studied on what was one version of the leadership program at the Guildhall School. So I sort of, when I was studying music in Iceland, obviously I had no idea about this possibility of making music with different communities of people, that in my head and in my environment that there were only a few options available, that it was the kind of classical route of becoming an orchestra player.
I was gonna ask you about this, because we're gonna get to the leadership, because it's like such an important part of your life and so many people as well. But what is usual musical education in Iceland? Do you have also like formal as well as informal kind of practices, singing in group, or of course with a family like yours you probably did lots of informal learning, but in terms of a community, how was that in Iceland?
I mean, Iceland is really, it's quite different to what it is here in the UK. They have music schools, which are separate institutions to the primary or secondary schools. And if you sign your child up for lessons, they get 2 half-hour private lessons a week, plus any ensemble playing, plus theory and all of that. So it's quite sort of a full-on education. And it's not that expensive if you think about the sort of number of hours that they get in tuition. I think maybe I haven't lived there for so long, but it's nothing close to what it would cost here to sign your child up for this rigorous program.
But you need to choose to do it rather than being in a school.
I think that's maybe what is changing now, that it is more expensive now, and it's also the sort of social environment is quite different to what it was when I was a kid, and there is more unemployment and stuff, so there's more division, I think, within the community, and and therefore it has become something that is can only be afforded by people that are sort of pretty well positioned financially. Whereas I think it was more accessible when I was a kid.
All right.
But I mean, it was very Western classical music. I mean, that was what was taught, and there was in later years it was sort of the jazz option was available, but I sort of thought, oh no, I'm studying the classical
Oh,
music,
you
and that,
stayed in the classical route then.
yeah, and it was sort of, I felt, I don't know, I played in big bands and sort of a bit of that kind of more rhythmic style of music, but it was either you study classical music or jazz, or you do the pop thing, which is like you do your own thing kind of thing. And I wasn't, I thought I was heading towards the classical
Yeah.
wing of things, and that's how I finished my studies as a classical musician.
Mm.
But then came to Guildhall and made a bit of a U-turn, and sort of just was completely blown away by, first of all, when I got to know the practice that I currently do and have dedicated my entire professional life to, the first thing that really got me was the fact that we could, as a group of people, go through processes that felt just almost playful and just fun and engaging processes um, an activity, but that the outcome of it was music that was through composed and great music, and we just made it. There wasn't like a composer with a capital C that had written it and then given it to us to play, but we collectively made this music.
And how
And
did
then
you end up? Oh, sorry. Go on.
and that was, I mean, that was through a weekend introductory course
Mm.
when I was in college. And then when
Oh,
I came to
that's
Guildhall
how you
and
found
saw,
out about Guildhall.
yeah, exactly. And when I came here and saw all of that happen out in the community,
Mm.
and that I was completely blown away by that, and never looked back.
I know. And then, so you came to the UK to study at the leadership course.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and how did you find out and what the leadership course was back then?
Mm.
And
So yeah, so there was an introductory program, just a weekend course at my college in Iceland, and that was in '96 and '97. There were some follow-up programs from there, and then I came to the Guildhall, and the course was on a break. They were redesigning it when I came, so I just spent 1 year just taking trombone lessons at the Guildhall, and I was allowed to sit in on all of the seminars and all of the projects that were going on for the undergrad students for that year. So I learned already a lot just being in that environment and following the tutors around and all of that. And then in '98, I was on the first year of a version of the course, which is called CPD, Continuing Professional Development. And the idea behind it at that time was to, rather than for the course to be like a full-time course over 1 year, which it was before I came to Guildhall, to have it more modular, to allow professional musicians to get involved in it. So that in my year, for instance, there was the principal trumpet player from the BBC Concert Orchestra was on my year, and a violinist from that same orchestra. There were professors that teach in Belgium. There were people from all over Europe that were on my year. And we just got together for a 4-week intensive twice over the year. And then we did our own modules in between. And that version of the course didn't run for many years. And it was replaced by the leadership program. The leadership program ran for probably 14 years. And Nell Catchpole and we led it for 12 years of those. And
amazing.
yeah, so it changed quite a lot during the time that we were running it. So it started off as kind of a program to almost like a workshop leadership program at the start, and then we sort of, I don't know, it evolved into being more artist led training and training artists in different environments. So it was catering for musicians from all kinds of different backgrounds. And we tried one experiment with Jack Derbyshire as a rapper who was not a musician at all, but came on board and did the 2-year training. But it was more about just going deeper into the fundamentals of what it is that we do, which is engaging with people.
Yeah, that's what it's so it's so hard to explain and so easy when you see it happening, right? It's so easy to understand, but so hard to explain with words. But of course, I know you because I was in the leadership for 2 years, and very lucky to have you and Paul and Elle and all those guys as tutors. But I remember, yeah, like it would be nice, like to hear from you, like what are those, like the foundation skills that that you guys kind of had to put, like, like all of everything, you had to put down a few and say like, okay, we need to focus on this. So how did you, like, how did you come up with that? I know there's lots of planning and everything, but like making those decisions, and I remember having 1 year mainly focused on workshop leading, and which we were the year tutor. And how was that process of from being a student to kind of becoming, the leader in the and making those hard decisions?
I mean, I think, yeah, it happened very quickly. I was already teaching at the Guildhall on the undergrad when I was a student, or sort of leading projects out in the community with undergrad students. So it sort of happened very quickly, that transition from student into a member of the tutors team. And then, yeah, it sort of all just kind of evolved that Nell and I ended up running the program. But I think in terms of like the delivery of and the content of what we were delivering, that also, it was very much a team thing as well, that we consulted very much with the other tutors, and the evolution of the course happened through those conversations and brainstorms about what it is that what are the principles of what we're trying to do. So we sort of moved from teaching people how to do it, like to go like, this is step A, step B, blah, 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 that you go through like a menu almost of this is what you have to do, to digging deeper into the fundamental principles of the matter, that you figure out your own way of doing this thing. But the principles are engaging with people to create an environment where people are able to be creative and collaborate, and that together we create something that didn't exist before we met, that everybody's input, that basically the sort of the personalities and the skills in the room are what determine what the outcome becomes. And the same principles apply everywhere, whoever you're working with, regardless of the skill levels or the age of the participants or the environments, the artistic environments, the art forms that you're working with, the cultural world that you're working with, whoever you're working with, that never changes, that we are just our role as the leader in the room is to figure out what people have to offer, what the abilities are rather than disabilities, and what language do we need to speak in order for it to be understood by everyone.
Yeah.
And then that also was paired up, and is paired up, is not in a past tense at all, that there is a need for the environment to be pleasant, for there to be mutual trust, for there to be respect amongst everybody, and that it is a welcoming space, that it's a space you will not be able to be creative if you're scared or if you feel undervalued or whatever, that our role is also to enable people to speak, to have a voice, to have an impact, and all of that. And that basically, and these fundamental principles of a shared space is what I think is quite recognizable by all of the practitioners that we have sort of supported to get out there into the field, as well as the people that we work with, the sort of core tutor team, that these are our sort of principles that underpin everything that we do.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
there's a huge breadth of environments where people work. So there are people like Jan Hendricks who does all of the sort of artistic installation kind of work and collaborative work in different arts environments. The work that Nell does with the sound art, and the different collaborations with, like, I don't know, people like Brian Eno and Kate Tempest and Hofesh and all of that kind of thing. And then the work that Paul and I would be doing, and that it's all still, if you look at it, regardless of the outcome, the artistic outcome, what the environments that we create and the principles that underpin our work are all the same. And it's about this kind of the political and the social motivation behind all of that. That the reason why we are doing what we're doing is because we want to inflict change. We want to challenge people to kind of think and look beyond the immediacy.
Yeah.
And we each have found our own environments and our own kind of styles of doing that, but these principles remain the same.
That's such a great picture of it, because that was always, I remember trying to explain what I was doing in the UK, and you know, like and in the end I ended up, you know, saying, like, for me it's like all about, the course is all about collaboration, you know, like, and wherever you are, with whatever context you are, and you know, like, oh, you need to, you know, let's make music with these people right now, and let's just do it. If it's for an art exhibition, if a school concert, a prison project, or, you know, like a music in hospitals, whatever, like, that's the idea, is like, whoever is here, let's do it together, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Great. So then of course, from the Guildhall, in Guildhall, you did so many projects that you led and everything, but of course you have your kind of started doing more of one thing, which is what led to you to create your own company now, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about how that started and how you ended up where you are now with that?
I've all the time that I've worked at the Guildhall, I've worked at the Guildhall for now 20 plus years, but I've always had a bit of a freelance streak going on as well, which I'm really grateful for. And that's kind of kept me in touch with such a wide pool of practitioners and arts organizations. So I work quite a lot with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and have done up until lockdown. And then I teach at the Academy of Arts in Iceland, and I've done that since early 2000. And then various other sort of freelance things. But at the Guildhall, I led the Dialogue Festival for many, many years. That started as like a school placement. That was my project, like when I was on the course in 1990. Right. That was the first time we led that, and then that evolved into like a festival that we led every year, where all kinds of different community groups would come together, and we would work with them over a number of weeks and create new music and perform. And one of the projects that I started through the leadership program was the Messengers. So the Messengers are a band. It's about 20 to 35 people in the band at any given time. And half the membership are students at the Guildhall, and the other half are people that have been homeless at some point in their lives. And that band really took off, like, in a way that we never anticipated. So the music is really amazing. It's all song-based. We write it all together. We have a strict rule that nobody is allowed to bring anything to the project to start us off, me included. So everything happens in the room. Nobody can bring a bass line or a poetic line or whatever, that
No starting points.
Everything starts here. Everything, then it can be equally accredited to everybody that we own this music together. And we've had some incredible opportunities. We've performed at the jazz festival, at the jazz cafe in Camden, and in Walthamstow Garden Party, and the main stage on Field Day Music Festival. We played at the main stage there, and we recorded with Luaka Bop, which is David Byrne's record label.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and then we recorded our own album, which we released during lockdown.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. I need to check it out.
It's on Spotify and on Bandcamp, and we're immensely proud of that. And so just when the leadership program was it was clear that that was ending, it sort of gave me the opportunity to really develop something that was mine. And so I undertook the Creative Entrepreneurs Program at the Guildhall, which is for artists and practitioners that have an idea of something that could become a standalone thing. And I got sign off from the Barbican Creative Learning team that I could take the messages as a project to develop through this and to make that an independent organization. But then just doing the course, it was clear that the messengers was going to be a part of a bigger thing. So rather than messengers becoming an independent thing, what has happened is that I've set up a community interest company called Metamorphonics. And the Metamorphonics model is that we create bands in collaboration with higher education institutions like the Guildhall and a homeless charity, or a social institution like St. Mungo's, who were our partners with the messengers. So since then, we started a new band in Leicester in collaboration with De Montfort University and a couple of homeless charities up in Leicester, the Centre Project and Dear Albert, who actually cater for addicts in recovery. And then we started a band in Los Angeles.
Wow.
So I went to Los Angeles and started a new band with University of Southern California and this incredible community choir that is operated from Skid Row, which is the heart of the homeless community in LA. And that band is called the Trailblazers. The band in Leicester is called Roll Call.
Can we please welcome the Trailblazers?
I think it is unique that the messengers create this really special arena for expression.
People can be stuck in certain places in their life, but when they come and sing, that's just one day they don't have to be stuck.
And then I have now been working hard in Iceland. So this November, COVID permitting, I will be starting. I will be starting a new band in Iceland with the Arts Academy, the Symphony Orchestra, Reykjavik Music City, which is a new initiative, and 4 community organizations. 3 of them are called occupation rehabilitation centers. So it's for people that have, for some reason, just been unable to work or study like they used to. Many of the issues are very similar to the issues that the homeless community are wrestling with: mental health, addiction, ex-offenders, long-term illnesses or burnout from professionals and stuff like that. And then a mental health organization in Reykjavik. So we're starting another band over there as well. So yeah,
that's great. So it's like a big umbrella of different bands then. And the bands are not, as you said, like they're not fixed, right? That people come and go and
so there's always, even for the messengers have now been going since 2012, but there is a core group that is
based in London.
Yeah, they're based in London. But there is always, every year, there are 2 or 3 new people. And now we've also got like an outreach from there. So there's a new band called Visions that is for people that are earlier on in their recovery from homelessness. And some of the guys from the Messengers are the team that help lead Visions.
Oh, that's so brilliant.
Yeah. So that's all happening. And it's been amazing to be able to develop something that is mine and to continue to collaborate with many of the people that I met through the Guildhall.
Yeah.
And to have something that I've got sort of more control over.
Is Paul with you in that as well?
No, that would be great. But at the moment there isn't. I'm sort of still leading all the bands myself. But I would love for it to grow and for me to be able to hire more people to come in to lead different bands and stuff. That would be great.
That sounds amazing. Oh wow. Okay. I'm full of information here, like so many questions coming up. No, in a good way, I'm just aware of time as well. But okay, I think we're getting to our inspired by our Gambia trip that we did at Guildhall. I always have a moment in this connecting chats that I say is the feel free moment, because the guys in Gambia used to say feel free, and like what I normally say to guests is like, you know, if someone ever interrupted you when you were trying to say something, or if you want to give some advice to new practitioners, or if you want to complain about about COVID lockdown or whatever, like this is your feel free moments to say whatever you want to say to us, Sig. Please enlighten us in such a difficult time. Pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. I'll just fix it. No, I was just literally just before I started speaking to you, I was speaking to one of the guitarists from the Messengers, and he told me he's been fascinated in lockdown. He's been absolutely fascinated by counterpoint. So he's been writing counterpoints all the way through lockdown. And he's like learning so much, and he's just completely inspired by this new thing. And I rang him because I want to try our first online project with the Messengers this October. And he was like, Sig, I totally admire you for even trying this. And I said, well, the alternative would be to give up, and that is not an option. So I think that's my message to everybody, given these incredible times. Just do not give up. It isn't an option. So we'll keep on going. We'll keep on thinking around all the problems, and we discover something new. Just keep moving forward. We'll get through this eventually.
I just remembered, you just reminded me a song I learned with you and Paul, which is the keep on towing, keep on.
See, there's a song in everything.
Yeah, exactly. There's always a song.
Walking to the freedom land.
Walking to the freedom land. Let's carry on. Thank you so much, Sig. This is amazing. Yeah, I have no words. I think this is amazing.
Lovely to chat with you, Fernando.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. I think this is very, very inspiring. And I hope I'm going to manage to get Paul for another connecting chat, because he's another history within the community music in London, and I'm really looking forward to. I'm gonna try talking to him very soon.
Yeah, I'll tell him.
Thank you very much, Sig.
Thank you.
Bye.